Hi, my name is Dr. Joanne Frederick Leva, also known as Dr. J, and I am a licensed professional counselor, university professor, author, and an advocate for mental health wellness. I would like to welcome you to my new show called Ask Dr. Joanne. This show is about self care and counseling as it relates to events happening in our everyday lives. The purpose of this show is to educate and empower you, our viewers. This month's topic is titled 2020 2021. What's the difference? Well, I'm going to explore the concepts of disappointments, griefs, and loss. Now, before I jump into it, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so you can get the alert of when we release our next video. I'm located on YouTube at Ask Dr. Joanne. So, did you know January is a time to regroup, reset, restore, and set all types of new goals? Well, we're into February, and I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on your new goals and outcomes for 2021? Well, let me share my story with you. You know, when 2020 was ending, I was thinking, yay, 2021, we have new administration and things are going to change and it's going to look good. Well, that feels good. It feels good. It felt good. It still does. But the reality is there is still a lot of loss, a lot of grief, and a lot of disappointments that I feel, and so I said, yeah, we need to talk about that. So, what can we do to counteract those feelings of disappointments? What are things we can hope for? Let me talk about disappointment, grief, and loss. What are some of the feelings we feel when we experience disappointment? Well, some of those feelings are sadness, frustration, fear. These feelings can all be associated with what we call depression. Depression is a mood disorder that triggers a persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest. It is also called major depressive disorder or MDD as an acronym, and it can have an effect on how an individual behaves, feels, and thinks. Depression can also contribute to a variety of emotional and physical problems. The individual may also experience difficulty with completing normal daily tasks, and on occasion, they may feel as if life isn't worth living. Now, let me give you some statistics. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, major depressive disorder affects approximately 17.3 million Americans, adults, and about 7.1 of the US population that are ages 18 and older in 1 year. Now, with the COVID-19 pandemic, this has been associated with mental health challenges due to the profound impact of social distancing and staying at home orders. Symptoms of major depressive disorder has substantially increased in the United States during the months of April to June of 2020 and still carries over. Let's talk about grief. Grief is another challenge that some individuals have had to deal with during the pandemic. Grief is a normal response. Let me say that again. It is normal that individuals experience following a traumatic event or natural disaster. So we are all experiencing what we call a collective experience of grief. Grief serves as a response to loss of life, or it can be associated with the discomfort that arises from a drastic change in one's daily routine. And we have all had changes in our daily routine. It impacts our overall stability. And according to the CDC, some common grief reactions include anxiety, distress, anger, periods of sadness, loss of appetite, denial, shock, and disbelief. Being that COVID-19 has been a large-scale emergency event, some individuals have endured multiple losses. Some have lost loved ones, while others have lost a job, a home. There has also been a substantial reduction in support services. Dealing with multiple losses can prolong the grief process and, in turn, make it difficult to recover and heal. We all cope with loss in different ways. If you can relate to any of the information that I'm sharing today, please know that you are not alone. I know you've heard that before. You're not alone. I recognize that there are many negative ways in which individuals can cope with grief and loss, such as consuming alcohol or drugs, entertaining unhealthy lifestyles, isolating themselves from their loved ones, and projecting their anger onto others. All of these coping strategies are not only harmful to one's health and well-being, but they can negatively impact others as well. For this reason, I would like to encourage you to engage in healthy coping skills. If you have lost a loved one, the following are some activities that I would suggest you partake in. Connect with others. Yeah. So does that mean? It means to join a support group, connect with family members and friends, coordinate a time and a date for family and friends to honor the deceased individual, such as prayer, a spiritual reading. Be creative. Create a virtual memory book, blog, or webpage. Ask family members and friends to support you in the development of a webpage. Engage in spiritual activity. Planting a flower for your loved one, for example, writing a letter to your loved one. Seek spiritual support from a faith-based organization, and also seek support from community members. Now, if you are experiencing distress from a change in your daily routine, the following are some activities that I would suggest you partake in. Find ways to express your grief, such as talking to family members and friends. Express yourself through art, music, poetry. Develop a new daily routine to replace the ones that were lost. Engage in fun virtual activities. There are activities like parties, birthday parties, celebrations, even virtual sip and paint activities. Seek assistance from professionals such as counselors, career counselors, social workers, your spiritual leaders. Connect with resources in your city, your state, various organizations. Seek the acceptance and assistance of an advocate, such as a mental health agency. Now, let's not forget the children. In respect to children, they do display grief in different ways than adults. On occasions, they may appear sad, upset, frustrated, angry. They may even distance themselves. But children will attempt to distract themselves from facing and dealing with their own emotions. In order to help support a child through grief and loss, the following strategies may also be beneficial. Speak with the child and ask questions to better understand how they were impacted by the event. So what does that mean? Well, that means ask the kid at some point, how do you feel about what happened? And really try to listen. Don't try to lecture them, educate them. Just let them get it out however they want to. Each child is unique, so it is imperative to give them time to deal with grief in a variety of creative ways. Educate yourself on how to communicate with the child. Also, maintain a routine. Do not allow the child to isolate themselves. Collaborate with the child's support system. So that means their teachers, their role models, their school, their counselors, their mentors, their spiritual advisors. You're not in this alone. So you should be working with other adults. That's important in their life. And also connect the child with a mental health professional. So I see we have a couple of questions coming in. So let me check this right quick. And I am going to answer these questions. Oh, great. This is a great one. One question that just came in. It says, I don't think I'll get over the death of my best friend. What do you suggest I do? Well, you know what? When we say get over, what does that mean? That's the first question that I would say with that. What does that mean? How do you get over? So, what I think when people say that, I don't know, maybe sometimes you're crying too much for them, you're talking about it too much, or you're not talking about it. Well, let's talk about that. We don't get over a death of a person. People, their memories stay with us, good and bad. And I think it's okay. It's okay to have those memories. It is okay to experience some of the challenges that grief shows. So sometimes you may be angry, you may bargain, you may accept, you may deny, but that's all part of the cycle of grief, and that's okay. It is okay. Here's another question I have coming in. What is the difference between grief and mourning? I like that question. There is a difference. So, in a nutshell, the difference is grief is what we think and feel inside when we lose someone. So we may feel sad, we may feel lonely, whatever we feel, angry, we may feel responsible. But mourning is how we outwardly express ourselves. So the mourning would be the crying, the laughing, the distance, whatever we do outwardly, that is what we consider mourning, and grief is what we feel inwardly. And then I have another question that came in. Okay, a comment and a question. It's been years since my mother passed away. Why don't I feel better? Well, I would say similar. A mother, a child passing away, a friend, close family member, we're not supposed to just get over it. What does feeling better mean? Does that again mean that you stop crying, you stop thinking about this person? I would explore more on what that means. I'm supposed to feel better. And I think the best way to explore that is seeking professional help. I really am an advocate for that. And so those were some of the questions I have. So now I hope that I was able to provide you with some information and knowledge about coping with grief and loss. If you are concerned about future losses, right, because we're still living in this world where there's constant loss, try to remain in the present and focus on the tasks and aspect of your life that you can control. So many people think, oh my gosh, what is it going to be like when I lose my parent or parents? What is it going to be like if I ever lose this person? Let's try to stay in the here and now. But if you feel that you are not coping well, or if you are experiencing suicidal ideation, please contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline or the Disaster Distress Helpline. I've had people that have contact these numbers, just text 741-741, and they got a lot of assistance. Like, it really, really works. So lock this number in. All you do is just text it. It is a line that is open 24 hours a day. And always remember that you are not alone and that we are in this together. In closing, I would like to say thank you for joining me today. If you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, and share. I can be found on YouTube at AskDrjoanne. This information, I'm sure, would be helpful to somebody. And lastly, I would also like to thank our sponsors today, which is JFL and Associates Counseling Services, LLC, for helping to make our show possible. You can also follow me on Instagram at JFL Counseling or Facebook at JFL Counseling.